Hello, everybody. Joe the Lawyer here for another episode of Analog Man Cave. And I got to say, you guys are pretty cool. This whole thing, I came up with an idea that if you want to comment for the algorithm, people were just saying commenting for the algorithm. I said, well, every video, let's do a new code phrase or a code word or something like that. So for every video, I'm sort of near the end. I'm going to tell you what the code phrase is, and if you're just commenting to help me out for the algorithm, that'll be what you say. Well, inside joke, and whoever doesn't watch to the end of the video will know what the hell we're talking about. So listen for that at the end, and click like and subscribe, because today we got another one, a good one for you. I think it's we talked last time about running the game and things that were outside the game, like not at the game table, but pre the game or something like that. And the first thing we talked about was players, where to get them, how to get them, when to play, things like that. So today, I guess I call this, broadly speaking, it's the issues part. Issues you'll have to deal with. Now I've touched on some of these in various parts of the show and the book already, but I wanted to sort of bring them all together in one place. Okay. The first thing is distractions. Every game is going to have distractions. At the very least, people are going to have to use the bathroom, right? The job as the GM is to minimize the distractions as much as possible. The biggest distraction is going to be cell phones. There's no way around it. A good idea, I think, is to propose that messages are checked maybe once a game, or when you take a break or something along those lines. That way, people aren't always looking and constantly being distracted. It's a lot easier to do this with older people. We didn't get brought up with cell phones constantly, at our beck and call. We could deal with it. But if you're dealing with a younger crowd, they're addicted to them, quite literally. So it's going to be a little bit harder to do that. But one thing you might want to do to help avoid temptation is, I've heard of this thing called a cell phone stack. You just take everybody's cell phone, you put them on a stack over on a chair, on a table. That way everybody's equally, not having their cell phone. Nobody's missing out or anything like that. So now if someone's waiting on an important call, that's a different story, right? You got to make accommodations. Kids and might be out and about or whatever, and waiting to see if they need a ride, something like that. That's fine, right? But as long as you're not constantly checking, that's the problem. Kids and pets, speaking of kids and pets are another distraction. If adults are playing, the kids shouldn't be running into the game room, screaming, fighting, daddy this, mommy that. It's just, Jesus, just keep them away. Maybe because I'm not a parent and everybody thinks their kids are the greatest. It's just a pain in the ass in general, right? Just the constant distraction. And cats, as you see in the picture, cats are the bane of all minis and battle terrain setups everywhere. They just jump on it, wreck it, and screw it all up. So goddamn, keep the cats away. And yapping dogs, some dogs are chill. They just sit there on the couch or something and watch you guys do your weird adult human thing. So they're fine. But these little like Chihuahua yappy dogs, the wind blows, the leaf, drifts across the sidewalk, and they hear it and start yapping away because they're scared to death. It's like the tiny dog syndrome. That goes for people too. Some tiny people are like that as well. So, that's the thing you're gonna have to deal with. Now, food breaks, like I said before, if you're gonna have them, plan them in advance. Everybody does it at the same time. You don't have oh, my Taco Bell came now, or my DoorDash just delivered, I'll eat mine now, and just everybody eat it once. Bring it all, figure it out, and eat it at once. That way you're not constantly interrupting everybody else's shit with your game, with your food. So out of character chatter. So another thing you're gonna have to deal with. Every group is different, right? Some groups want to be in character as much as possible, 100% of the time. Other groups only get, they're playing in character for like really important role playing situations, and everything else is just regular, there's regular talking. Whatever works for your group is fine as long as you all agree to it. But if you do agree, as a GM, it's your job to make sure that the game runs along the agreement, right? So if you agree to stay in character as much as possible, and people keep chattering on about real life crap or making movie references or making jokes, they need to be just reined in, basically. If you all agree to a light role playing game, and someone wants to be the next Al Pacino and is constantly in a character method acting mode, and nobody else is in character, and they get mad at it, and then that's your job to say, listen, we didn't agree to do that. You can do it all you want, but everybody else could do what the hell they want to. Now, speaking of getting mad, some players just flat out will not get along with each other. It's like an oil and water thing that sometimes you don't find out until you're a good way into the campaign. When this happens, you need to find a way to help everyone get along, or somebody needs to be kicked out. Honestly, that's the bottom line. This can be touchy, so try to handle it calmly with respect. Don't be accusatory. Don't get angry yourself about the whole thing. At first, maybe just take the people aside together or one at a time, find out what the hell's going on. You may want to bring the other players into it, especially if some of the other players have some sort of relationship with one or more of the people who are fighting. Help see if they can help settle it. Let's try to find out if there's some misunderstanding, or if it's maybe there's some common ground you could find to help the campaign move along. But if one of them banged the other guy's wife, something like that, you're not going to recover from it, right? I mean, it's not going to happen. But there might be some minor things that you can hash out, figure it out. I didn't like what you did over here, but you know what? All right, here I understand why. I'll try to do it again. Whatever. Just be human, right? Be normal people, right? But it involves confrontation, though. Some people do not like confrontation. That's why I bring this up, because you as a GM, it's your job to make sure that you got to be the confronter. You're the confronter in chief if things go wrong. That's your gig, right? Because it's your game. So, if you can, other people, like I said, bring them in, other players into the situation, see if they can help resolve it. Maybe if nothing can be done, just ask the two players. All right, it seems we're at an impasse here. What do you both propose we do? Maybe one will just step down, for the betterment of the group. Or if no one wants to leave, then you probably got to do it yourself or have a group vote. Who gets voted off the island, right? So that's it's a shitty situation, but what are you going to do? And sometimes you don't want to ruin your game because two people are always fighting. It's terrible. So another thing you'll be dealing with, the issues, are cancellations. Sometimes one or more players just can't make it, and sometimes you as a GM can't make it. Life happens. That's how life is. Now, if you need to cancel and you're the GM, then obviously there's no game. But if a player doesn't show up, I usually just keep running a game as is. The player doesn't get the XP because they weren't there. They got no treasure or gold or anything like that. No magic that was gained. And that was the penalty for missing. And when they show up the next game, I just run the game as if they were never missing, as if they were there the last time. Some players cancel habitually. It's up to you if you want to keep playing with them. Sometimes it's a friend, so it's no big deal. As long as his PC isn't like the main party healer or has, as long as they don't have like some essential role in the group, it's not a big deal. But if the player is running a PC who's vital to the group, it might result in problems. Like if they are the main healer or the wizard or something like that. Or they have the big special magic item that you need to kill the whatever the hell, right? So it's best if these players, who are going to be habitually canceling on you and show up half the time or whatever, give them some useless character class like a bard, or maybe the backup fighter. And that way, if they show, it's a bonus. If they don't show, it's not a big deal. It's up to you, though. If you want to allow, the frequent absences, that's totally your call. Keep in mind, though, some players are going to get annoyed, perhaps, with these absences. Feel them out, read the room, and decide what to do there. Okay? Now, if more than one player cancels, then you need to decide what to do. Is game night canceled, or can they complete what you planned for them that night, or will it be like a certain death, a TPK, total party kill? TPW I've heard, total party wipe, but I like total party kill. Sounds more vicious, more cold. If it's going to be a TPK, you may want to cancel it or run a parallel universe session. I talked about these earlier too. That's where you just run the players who show up through some kind of a one shot. You always have to have a few of these one shots ready to go. They're sort of thing you'd run at a convention, a 3 or 4 hour, 10-room dungeon or whatever the hell. And the players, they get the XP and the loot, and it doesn't have to connect with the rest of the campaign in any way unless you want these things to connect to the rest of the campaign in some way. But it's just a way to everybody has a little fun, people get some XP, and if they die in the parallel universe thing, they don't die in real life in terms of the actual campaign. They just don't get any XP. So they can be a little balls to the wall crazy if they want to. Now, when it comes to cancellations, though, you want to give as much notice as possible, or even if you're going to be late. That's for GMM players. There's nothing worse than a last-minute cancellation where you knew sometimes if people canceled on me, if I knew like an hour earlier, I could have done something else. I could have made plans. But now everyone's out or nobody wants to do anything. Little things like that. It's kind of annoying. And I get it. Sometimes, the person really doesn't want to cancel, and they try like hell to overcome this whatever obstacle or whatever that caused them to cancel ultimately. But, they're trying to do the right thing and make it happen. But what they really should have done is the right thing is say, hey, listen, I got this thing, and I think I can make it. I'm not sure. I'm going to try like hell to overcome it. But just as a heads up, you guys may want to make backup plans. I'll let you know as soon as I can, as soon as I know. Something like that. That way people, they're not surprised. They understand that there might be, something going on. And then, surprisingly, I've seen this happen where people say, you know what, man, I got this thing too, and a couple other people chime in, And that's how you know either they just maybe the players just need a break, or maybe it's just a good convenient excuse to say, all right, let's just cancel this game because it looks like a few of you can't make it. Sometimes you just need a night off, right? So that's fine too. Okay. Now, if you're using more issue things, if you're using handouts, you should bring enough for the group. That way, if the person who had the treasure map doesn't show up the next game, the rest of the players don't suffer. One thing you might want to check into getting too is a laminating machine. They're cheap. I was so surprised. I got one on Amazon a while back, and for maps, and they're so cheap to use, to buy and easy to use. They're good for things like maps or other things that the players are going to be referring to often. And if you laminate it, you could do like I think a dry erase marker on it too, and take little notes or something like that. So they're kind of fun. Now for excuse me, for props and mood music and lighting, that stuff's kind of cool too to add some immersion to the game, but they're not really necessary. Obviously, I've spoken before about that metal diploma case I use. It's like a scroll tube. But other than minis and some terrain that I made a long time ago, I sucked at making terrain, and I gave away all my terrain making crap to another kid who liked making terrain. Other than that stuff, about the only props I ever use at my table are, just minis and terrain and nothing else. That's it, really. And then that little scroll tube thing. I do like music as background, but I don't run like immersion music. It's not like medieval tavern music or anything like that. I just like Zeppelin, so that's what's going on. If the classic rock is my thing. Actually, I got like a few hundred records, old ones. I like to buy old records because I like the fact that I can see this ring on the record cover or whatever, and just see like this ring of coffee or whatever they were drinking at the time, and because they put their cup on it and the album, and you wonder what they were thinking, what was going on through their heads, what were they dealing with, that they were popping this record on right then and there, and put their coffee cup on it. And I just like the history of it all. There's very few records that I had to buy new because I just could not get a used copy. I started buying it before vinyl became the craze. I just had a shitty record player that I got at a tag sale, at a yard sale, and it's like, oh, cool. Let me see if I get some records. And I went to this used bookstore guy who was selling records too, so that's where I picked them all up. Anyway, big old distraction there about records. Yeah, so if you want stuff on YouTube, you could find things like medieval tavern background noise if you wanted to, or medieval songs, and you can use that. Now, as for lighting, it's hard enough to see these small font RPG books these days, so I don't really need less light hindering the effort. But that being said, I think it really would be cool as hell to play by candlelight someday. Maybe it's like hanging lanterns around the game table, like on the walls surrounding you, and then at the table everybody has a candle or something. That'd be kind of neat. Just have a fire extinguisher ready in case someone knocks some shit over or whatever, or cats show up. Yeah. So anyway, guys. Let's see. So the wild and wacky phrase we're going to have today is tornado. 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 All right. Thank you very much for listening this long, everybody. Next video tomorrow is going to be about running a game you like, multiple groups and PCs in one campaign, and about game balance. That'll wrap up the running the game stuff outside the game considerations. And after that, we'll get into inside game considerations. All right. So thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good one.